Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, good morning, Koko.
Good
We
morning, Kathy. How are you?
good. We've got some guests with us today. Who do we have?
I'm actually really excited to introduce everybody to Oregon Dog Rescue. We have Deborah and Lindsay joining us from Oregon Dog Rescue. Deborah Bowen is the founder, and Lindsay Quinn is the PR coordinator there. And we're very excited to talk with them today about Oregon Dog Rescue, since they are um, one of our receivers that we'd love to have in our partnership with us. And I want to kind of talk to everybody about, we're doing our transport flights and, how important that is. And everybody kind of knows that. We talk about that pretty often. But these are one of the receivers that we send to, and what they're doing there in Oregon is absolutely incredible. So that's what we're going to talk to you guys about today. And welcome, Deborah. Welcome, Lindsay. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Of course, we're very excited to talk to you. So I want to ask, tell us about Oregon Dog Rescue. How did you guys get started? Give us some tidbits of information that just kind of gives us an introduction as to who Oregon Dog Rescue is, what your mission is, and what you guys do.
Well, Oregon Dog Rescue officially started in 2007. That's when we applied for and received our 501c3, and actually became actively helping dogs in our area find new homes. Prior to that, I had worked and volunteered with several other organizations and kind of dipped my toe in to it while I was still a real estate broker, and decided that this was pretty amazing. And as time went on, decided that it was worth giving it a shot to see if we could make something that would be a little bit different. And so we came up with a business plan and just dove in. That was 2007. We started with, oh gosh, I think 2007, we only adopted out like 73 dogs, but since that time it has grown every year since then. We started in our garages. Basically, there were two of us. We were housing anywhere from usually 5 to maybe 15 dogs in our garage at one time, and we would go to adoption events and adopt them out. And it was very successful. We helped mainly the shelters in our own area at that time because we were small. And as time went on, we started to branch out to other states and municipalities in Oregon as well. And in 2011, we found this building we're in now and signed a lease, and we've been here since that time. And of course, with a facility, then of course things just kind of skyrocketed from there. We were able to help a lot more dogs. We were able to bring in a lot more community support. And then probably not until about 2013, we started actually hiring employees. And we have just grown since that. And to where last year we had, what was the number? 1,800 adoptions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Deborah, let me ask you, do you have very good community support?
We do. We have fantastic volunteers. We've got a little core group that we've trained to help with some things like some cleanup and some, one-on-one with the dogs. And then we developed a program when we moved into this building for dog walkers. And we would have people come and walk our dogs, and they could take them across the street. We have a park very close by, and we would have people come in. They would come in, walk a dog. Sometimes they just walk one, sometimes several. And that way the dogs not only got the playtime in our playroom, but they got outside and got to stretch their legs a little bit. So we've had that support. We've also had great support financially with donations. We've had some businesses, and Lindsay can probably speak more about that have also been a big support. So it has, as people have known we've been here, it has grown a lot.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things is just finding unique ways for people to still stay connected from the community during these times of COVID. So that's been
That's been hard because we've had to discontinue the dog walking because we can't have very many people coming into the building. And so, yeah, we've had to work around a lot of those things, but we're finding ways to make it work.
That's awesome. And, that's all of us, the times of COVID for every industry and every business, there's adjustments have obviously had to be made, and, it can kind of make things difficult, to keep your well-oiled machine going as it should, and being able to function in all those, all the usual capacities. We ourselves, we're seeing, some kind of difficulties and setbacks, if you will, just, due to COVID and what that's kind of caused here in our community. And so that's to be expected, but we're all doing, what we can to see our mission forward and make sure that, the animals that come into our network are cared for and everything like that. So I know that's your top priority, as well as making sure that those are all cared for. But, telling us about how you guys grew from, what was a 2-person operation to now this, this facility that you guys got where you're able to now save over 1,800 lives in one single year. I mean, that is incredible. That is that number is unbelievable. I know that we've got the supply here in New Mexico that we could, increase that number. I don't know what 2020 is looking like, being what we were talking about, but 2021, I know we can probably, in working with you guys, help drive that number up and continue that growing every single year. So I'm super excited about that. Go ahead, Kathy.
I was going to say, what I'd like to know about is how did your relationship with Barkhouse, how did you get connected, and what were you looking for? How is the team, how is that connected together?
Yeah, well, we're so excited to connect with Barkhouse because as we've seen over the years, that demand for adoptable dogs, people want to do the right thing. People want to adopt. And in Oregon, those adoption rates just increase exponentially each year. So establishing this relationship with Barkhouse will be huge for your dogs and to satisfy that need for companionship for folks up here in Oregon. You had the pleasure of going to pick up several dogs from a Barkhouse transport, a flight that came up. I think that was in the gorge, correct?
Yeah, it was a beautiful drive that day. I drove out to the Dalles and picked up 3 dogs, and it was amazing how easy it was. I pulled up, they were there. They put the dogs were in their crates. They put them in the car for me, and I was done. It was amazing. I'm not used to that much easiness. Their paperwork was all wrapped in plastic and sitting on my seat. It was great.
And I think you guys have been working with our manager here, Kim Harney, works tirelessly to find these dogs that need homes. So she established that relationship with Barkhouse, and it's been a success so far. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, we are extremely excited about it. I mean, we're glad that we have receivers in places that we can reach with like minds who put such care and such quality care is what I really should say into making sure these dogs are cared for the time being when they when they reach you. And then of course you guys work extra hard to find them homes in a pretty short amount of time. And the point on that is here, if they were here in New Mexico, if we weren't able to get them out to Oregon Dog Rescue and our receiving partners, some of these dogs stay in the shelter systems for 3 months, 6 months, over a year. I mean, we've seen it, all sizes, all breeds. And that's it's sad, and it's really, really difficult for them to adjust into a home when they've been institutionalized long term in a place like that. So us having the ability to reach out and get these animals to you guys via flight transport is a big deal. And then you guys do the your follow through on the back end, and it's a huge win for everybody. And so this relationship that we've got going on with you guys is I feel great about it. I love it. And it's, I know what you guys are doing is incredible work. So, I mean, I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts on flight transport? Does that seem to be a good way when the animals arrive? Do they seem to be, in decent spirits and good shape? Like, what are your overall thoughts on flight transport in general, since that's how we have to reach you guys?
I think it's fantastic. There's a lot less stress on the dog, I believe, just based on what I can see when they get here. I think sometimes going by truck or whatever is a little harder on them. They have, they sometimes come back with a few little glitches in their urinary problems and stuff like that. But yeah, they seem to just come and assimilate pretty quickly. I would say the dogs I brought that day were pretty much just in the group within just a few hours and acting pretty normal, whereas usually it takes a day or so for some dogs to settle in when they've had a longer journey. But I think it's just ultimately a lot less stress.
I was going to ask now, is that, let's say, ground transport, which was the traditional way that everyone used to transport, and many are trying to get into transport by air. Do you see a difference between the two in terms of a lot of work that has to be done, the attitude of the dogs, as well as the fosters or the shelters or anyone that is transporting by ground? It seems to be so much less of an effort to have it done with an air transport. Do you see the difference between the two, and which is your preferred way of transporting?
Oh yeah, I mean, gosh, if we could just have all the dogs come by air, that would be fantastic.
Yay! Okay, that's what we want to hear.
Of course, in a perfect world, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we deal with what we have to deal with. But yeah, no, I just think just the total attitude of the dogs and the ease of handling them, and all of that just makes a big difference. And knowing when the dogs are going to be there, having them contained, not having to wrestle them out of a crate and into another car or something like that, it's ultimately the best way to go.
That's great to hear. And so, people here are pretty familiar now with, our end of things. They know kind of what it looks like. We get out to the airport, we load them up. We've covered that a lot in both our shows and, things that we're posting to social media, what have you. But what I think that they don't get to see and get to hear a lot of is what that back end looks like, what it looks like when the plane lands in Oregon and they're there to meet the smiling, friendly faces of the Oregon Dog Rescue people. So I'd love for you to tell me kind of what that looks like. What is the team, doing? Who's there receiving? And so what does it look like when they arrive to Oregon, they're on the ground, and then they make their first interaction with you? Would you walk us through that?
Sure. They would, well, like I said, on this last transport, they had them right there, put them right into my car, so we didn't have the wrestling around. I drove straight to the shelter. They were actually happy to come out of their crates and acted pretty normal when they got here. They went right into our building, and the first thing we do is we put our collar on them with our ID tag. We give them a distemper shot. It's just a protocol that our vets, even if they've had shots, have been told us to do. If they need any other, Bordetella, anything like that, that's all taken care of right then, right away. We have them assigned a crate with their name on it that's going to be where they sleep at night. So a lot of times what we'll do is we may put them in their crate for just a few minutes just to kind of let them settle and get the lay of the land. And then generally we can bring them right out and put them in the playroom with the other dogs. And we have two playrooms, a big dog playroom and a small dog playroom. And they can go in there, and we have someone in, obviously supervising, making sure that it's looking safe. And they can start meeting their new friends right away. And it really is a great place for them to be comfortable like that. We immediately try to get some pictures of the dog. We get an appointment set up with our vet so we can get a vet check of our own. So all that is in the works as well.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that they you put them into a playroom. That's one of the things that caught my ear. I love that. I always push that. When we are identifying receivers, we're not trying to send these animals from one shelter system to another where they're going to be put into, another kennel space, and that's where they're going to sit, for a long time waiting for, however long for a family. This is quality. This is what I'm talking about. When I talk about a receiver that I am thrilled to send these dogs to, if we're going to do all this work and get them to the airport and send them off, I like to feel confident that they're going somewhere that is already going to be better for them and before their next step of finding that home. So the fact that you guys are socializing them around other dogs in a playroom and, like you say, they're supervising, I'm sure sometimes it feels a little bit like playing referee, but they're going to some place where they're getting their health checked, they're cared for, they're loved on, and then they're also socialized. I mean, that is the best thing I think that you can do, getting them prepared for the next step of putting them in a home where they'll be socializing with people and potentially other animals in the home if the families already have them. So I love that. I love what that looks like. Just in my mind, when I'm sending to Oregon Dog Rescue, I know it's going to be great from landing all the way through. The dogs are going to be happy and cared for, and that makes my heart happy. That makes puts real confidence into the whole process of this. So thank you for walking me through that. That's super cool. The playroom thing, that's like you've already won me over with that. I love to get that opportunity.
I think that's what set us apart, actually. I think that was probably the number one idea we had when we started this, was to do something different. And that is one of the key elements, is that we wanted playroom social activity. We just felt like the artificial dog runs and what you see walking down. Yeah, just holding these dogs and watching them jump on the fence was not a good place for these dogs and not a good psychological thing. So
this offers enrichment and reduces stress for them while they're here, and you really get to see more of their personalities come out. And so when you're trying to place them in their forever home where they can blossom, you're better able to match them with their
Right.
So pre-COVID, when people would walk through the facility, do they get a chance to see the play area? Like if they're going to identify a dog, they get to see them kind of in action?
Actually no, because we figured that would increase kind of the stress of the dogs to have people walking through all day. So the process before COVID, when you would walk into the building, we have flyers. We would have flyers printed up for all of the dogs, and people could read through and see who looked like they'd be a good fit. They're also all posted online through our website. And then we bring the dogs up. We're actually in one of the meet and greet rooms right now, where families can come in, spend time with the dog. They have the option of taking the dog on a walk as well. And then at that point, if they decide that, they are a good fit and we think that it's a great match, then they get to proceed with the adoption process.
Okay, so people don't really walk through the shelter. Okay, all right. So, that's a very good thing, because then you don't have the dogs all disrupted and carrying on and knocking over food bowls and wanting to get agitated by seeing people walk through. Excellent, excellent. I like that. Now that's something new that I'm sure a lot of shelters don't do.
Yeah.
We like it because we find we understand the desire to just come look at dogs for fun, but I think that also puts the dogs in that position where they're not there to entertain.
Yeah, we're not entertaining.
It's really people that are serious about coming.
Yeah, good point. Kudos to you. Yeah. Instead of them pick me. Yeah.
Or sometimes we've been at events. We used to do PetSmart events, and we'd go to events where we would have the dogs maybe more on display. And it was hard because, people want to come in and like stick their fingers in the cage, or they want to go and put their face in front of the cage, and they don't understand that is the scariest thing that a dog has to do, big face in them. And so it just, anything we can do to eliminate stress and make it more natural for a dog. I think that's our number one thing. We're really dog centric as far as their feelings and how they operate and how they feel comfortable. And of course, the other side of that coin is we want people to feel comfortable, of course, too. And having a real estate background, I've dealt with a lot of people, and so I know we have to be dealing with people, and it's a balance. And I think that's something that we've kind of worked out here, and I think everybody's on board with that philosophy.
Well, and
Right.
I love that. Like, I love that you guys have that consideration of, what things look like from the dog's perspective, and, that experience, and their, their well-being, their emotional well-being. That's something that, in places like that where we have these really crowded shelter systems and, things like that, that's a little harder. That's not always a consideration. They're always trying to, move dogs in, move dogs out, try to, it's like a kind of a corralling system that it doesn't have as much heart on it as I wish it did. And that's something that, I would love to change in this region as well. But you guys are an amazing example of, doing things humanely and, really, really considering what the experience is like for each animal that crosses your path. So knowing that now, that 806 dogs in 2019 is even far more remarkable because, it's not just in and out, and they're with us for this short time, and everything's being shuffled around. It's each one is cared for. 1,806 dogs were cared for, loved for, given these opportunities to socialize, and that's remarkable. I really cannot say enough good things about that. And I'm definitely going to want to have conversations with you guys even after this broadcast is over. I would love to bring that idea and culture that you guys do it within those walls and bring that here. I would love to learn more from you guys. So that's incredible.
Yeah, I can see now why Kelly has chosen you as a receiver, because she loves people that are innovative and think out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not cookie cutter, there's nothing cookie cutter about trying to get animals into their forever homes. It depends on your community, the people, the resources, and doing whatever is necessary. All of a sudden, I'm thinking to myself, you could actually have some kind of a TV camera that could be in your waiting room, and people could actually see what the dogs look like before you even bring them out. You could have a video that is already performed that goes along with the pictures as well. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's something we kind of had in mind, but just haven't
What?
that's something we've had in mind, but just haven't gotten there yet. So. Always no dog.
Yeah, I have no doubt. Ideas like that are kicked around regularly. I mean, you guys have really come up with a lot of really, really great and interesting ways to do this. So again, I'm thrilled that we're partnering with you guys, and I love knowing that when we send to Oregon Dog Rescue, I mean, from day one, those dogs are already in a much better situation.
Yeah.
Coming from our at-risk area, and what exists down here to a place like that. I mean, I know I can feel good about that.
Now, do you have a rigid adoption process? Do you vet?
Yeah.
What is your process?
So the process now, everyone goes online. It's OregonDogRescue.org, and you can view our available dogs. And then if you see a dog that you're interested in, you submit your application directly through the website. We have a questionnaire trying to gather information about the people that are applying to match them to the dog's needs, because let's face it, every dog is super unique. And, something that's, I think, core in the beliefs of Oregon Dog Rescue is the assuring the long-term success of every adoption. We want to make sure it's a good fit for the dog, make sure it's a good fit for the people, and then no matter what, we're always here to support that adoption throughout the lifetime of that dog. That's another thing that is important to us. But yeah, so right now we go through those applications. If it does look like they're a great fit for that dog, then we call them. We have everyone from the home come in to meet. So if they have any other people, any other dogs, they all come in to meet to make sure that it's a good fit.
So what does your demand look like? Do you guys have quite a few applications on file, pretty much on hand at any given time? Like, I'm curious. So, as much as I love the facility and I'm totally happy sending the dogs there, I want to know, about how long would a dog, that reaches you guys stay with you guys, and, kind of what does that look like from now? We talked about when they've reached your facility, we know what they're kind of doing. And then, so what are the next steps to get them into that home, and about how long do you think that takes?
Well, in 2019, the average amount of time that a dog was here at the facility was 11 days. 2020 is looking much different. I know that we had several dogs that arrived via Barkhouse that were here. They were all adopted, within 1 to 2 days of being available for adoption. So
Yeah. We
demand.
want to hear those success stories.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I think that that's why we're really expanding, because you see dogs that are sitting in shelters in other states, and then you come to Oregon and there's so much demand. There aren't enough rescue dogs for people. It's a beautiful problem to have, but that's why it's important for us to work with Barkhouse. Because we don't want to see a dog that would be sitting in a shelter for a year down there when they could get adopted one day later in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And the truth is that the people that, when the dogs are in a shelter, they lose their social skills, especially after a period of time. They don't want any interaction. They start to shut down, and all of the wonderful personality traits that they had when they first came in, the longer they're in the shelter, the more they shut down. So that's why Barkhouse wants to get them out of there as soon as possible and have them transported to people like you who recognize that they need help and that they could have been euthanized, and now we all become saviors in helping these wonderful animals get wonderful homes. So we want to thank you very much for that. But let's look now at what's like a day in the life of the Oregon Dog Rescue after a Barkhouse dog has gotten there, because I know you have 3 special dogs that you want to talk to us about, and we really like to hear about that. What's that like as soon as they come in?
Right. Well, there was Lucky, who was adopted. He came from Barkhouse, and he was one that I believe was in the shelter for a couple of months.
Oh, how cute. Look at him. Oh.
And he was adopted within 2 days up here in Oregon. The woman that adopted him really wanted a dog that she could take exploring. I think that's the neat thing about Oregon. It's a very outdoorsy state. So people want dogs they can go hiking, camping with, go up to Mount Hood, play in the snow. So it's neat to see a dog like Lucky, a husky, get to go to an appropriate home, go with someone that knows his needs and who's really seeking out a dog that can fulfill theirs in that way too. His picture's so cute.
That's awesome. Yeah, what a sweet dog. And you said adopted in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
2 days. And how long was it here in the shelter, Koko? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I don't know that offhand. I will look and find out. But I can say with pretty good certainty that dog would not have gotten adopted in 2 days here. That not because the dog isn't wonderful. The dog's wonderful, ended up with a wonderful home, but just what exists here is, it's difficult. The adoption rate here just doesn't match the intake. The intake, they're picking up 15, average dogs a day, sometimes more than that. And, especially during COVID times, we're lucky if we're getting, a handful of adoptions a week. So you can already see, it's topsy-turvy, and you guys have the exact opposite issue we do, which is wonderful. That's why, to me, this air flight program that we're bringing down here is so important, because we couldn't get to Oregon Dog Rescue by ground, really. That would be such a difficult trip. It would be difficult on the human driving, and the accompanying person, because I think it takes 2 to go that far. And, certainly for the dogs, that's a very, very long trip, even if you could do it all in one stretch, which legally you're not allowed to. But let's just say, in a perfect world, that's still a horrendously long trip. So flight transport, being able to reach you guys, knowing what your follow through is just insanely important. So I'm really enjoying hearing everything about this. And Lucky, that's a great story. And what's great about it is it's not unique. That's 1,800 from last year, 1,800 plus with stories just like that. So I cannot wait to send you more and more Barkhouse dogs.
And I'm sure you want them too. Okay, so didn't you also have, wasn't there Diamond and Dior too?
Yeah. Diamond was a 10-month-old. She's a lab mix and was adopted one day. So you have to think they might get there, say, I think that one was October 20th. That doesn't mean they go up for adoption on October 20th. That means, the very next day, after been assessed by the team, seen by our vet and cleared for adoption, that means that dog is being adopted as soon as they are capable of it. So, I mean, that's fast. That's really fast. And she got to go with, I think another lab sibling is what, so gets to go have a little buddy at home and again, explore all around Oregon. And these people are just so fortunate for it, because one thing we hear a lot, people that come in every day and they say, I've sent in 20 applications on a dog. I never thought I'd get a call back. As soon as I see a dog online and I apply, the dog's already been adopted.
Mhm.
So yes, that demand is real.
Yeah, when we call people to tell them to set up the appointment and tell them we've selected their application, it's kind of fun because it's almost like you're calling people to tell them they won the lottery or something.
Yeah.
Sometimes they actually start crying, they start screaming. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's just cool. It's such a neat culture here. I don't know. I've lived here all my life, so I guess I don't know
It's
anything
just so
different.
dog friendly.
It's like given a choice between a purebred dog from a breeder and a rescue dog, I'd say 9 times out of 10 people want that. They want a rescue dog.
Mhm.
They don't care if it's a $7,000 breeder dog. They would rather have a rescue dog because I think it's a feather in their cap. I think they feel like they're doing something. They can tell their friends they have a rescue dog. It's just something they seek out. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with dog lovers seem to be very compassionate and empathetic. And when you know that you've taken a dog from a shelter for 2 reasons. One, people need a dog in their life because the dog will make their life better on an emotional level and on a physical level. But at the same time, you're also saving another dog. And you don't know where that dog's been from. So they could have been a bad boy. They could have been a good boy. They could have been abused. They could have been, there's so many ifs that you don't know about. So bringing this animal into your home, if you've got the right mentality and you say, okay, I'm willing to work and learn about that dog and find out what their needs are, and they will learn what my needs are, then we're going to have a happy relationship and we're going to be connected. So when you look at the people that are going to adopt the dog, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you almost instinctively know, don't you, whether that dog is going to be good for them or not?
Yeah. It just, and sometimes you're surprised initially, and then you see some interaction and you see some things change. So we give it time. They get to take the dog for a walk. They can come in and spend some time. So sometimes the initial is maybe a little sketchy, and then as some time goes on, they get better. So
and in my experience, the dogs communicate with us, non-verbally, of course. They can't express, their gratitude, but they do. They still have a way of doing that. And I think in a lot of ways, the dog sort of picks the person. They know kind of right away if they are going to connect with that person. They'll even act differently around certain people. They might be timid around somebody that comes in that isn't the person for them, but then the right person walks in and all of a sudden they come alive. And, and that's how they communicate with us. And that's really, really awesome.
On a joking level, I always say that when you pick a dog, the dog is looking at you thinking to themselves, I wonder how easy this person is going to be to train. I mean, my dog has me so trained. It's like he looks at me, oh, you want to go out? Sure. You want to do this? Sure. I know exactly what he wants just by a look or a gesture. And
like, look what I can make my human do.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you had a video that you wanted us to share. Do we have permission to share that video off of your Facebook page? Okay, Melissa, do you have that queued? If not, I have it right here. You know what? Okay, I think she's got it. Okay, never mind. She's got it. There you go.
So this is kind of dialing back to when we were talking about what your receiving end looks like when you guys pick up the dogs. And I got a quick cursory glance of the video, and it's incredible. You guys are, partnering with great people, making really good quality content, and so not just the the life of what the dogs are experiencing with you guys, but you're also doing really good promoting. And, I'm very impressed with the overall operation that you guys have built. Hearing that it was from a 2-person operation to what it is now is just incredible.
So what are we seeing here in this video?
Well, you saw some dogs coming off a truck. We usually call in kind of all hands on deck when we have a transport. So almost all our staff comes. They almost, they cancel everything to be here. We have some volunteers that will come as well. And we basically just kind of line up, take the dogs off one at a time. We have Kim, who you saw there earlier. She does the paperwork, and so she's checking off the dogs, with matching them up with the paperwork, giving us the name of the dog. We take the dog out. We have a grassy area out front. We take them out so they can go potty, stretch their legs, and then we come in and we sign them. There's one of the playrooms. Initially, they go into a crate just so we can set them somewhere. Then, as we get collars on them and get their first shot on board, they get to go into the playroom and start meeting each other and just be there. And we have supervision in there, of course, so that everybody is safe.
They have access to a potty room. Some of them utilize that.
There's water available, and we have raised beds that we have there generally, and they can lay down if they want. They can socialize. Usually they're pretty excited about meeting everybody at first.
And then 2 separate rooms. So we have a small dog room and the larger dog room. Sometimes you get to mix a few of the sizes, but
depending on the temperament of the dog, sometimes we'll get a larger dog that really thinks it's a Chihuahua, and so we'll maybe move that dog into the small room, or sometimes we get a smaller dog that thinks it's a Great Dane, so we'll move them into the bigger room. There you see the shots being drawn. So yeah, it kind of, we initially put them in the size differences, but then as time goes on, we evaluate their personalities.
Yeah, and the thing that stuck out to me from watching that video real quick was when pulling them off the truck, when they were carrying them into the facility. I love the way that they're held. They hug them, they embrace them. I saw the one lady cradle the dog's head, and it's just like, it's so affirming that, giving that feeling of safety. Again, we can't really communicate with them verbally, but it's extra little actions like that just provides that additional, loving touch, that personal touch that is, to me, so important. So,
you both know you're only in this field if you love dogs. You have to be passionate about dogs to work in this kind of rescue.
Yeah, nothing else would be tolerated here. It's just the way it is. And yeah, everybody, errs on the side of, providing the support for the animal and giving them the break. And some dogs kind of come here, initially very scared, and they might be snappy, they might be defensive. And it's always taken with a grain of salt. We always feel that, okay, let's give this dog some time, because any kind of transport or any changes are stressful. So I'd say 99.9% of the time, that's all it takes, is just a little time.
Yeah. Well, and I love that too, that, from the get-go, you're not expecting perfection. You're not expecting the dog to be, perfect. You say you give them that little bit of leeway to get acclimated, to get used to their new environment. And, they might be either a little timid or, whatever that feeling is. Sure, they just took upon themselves this big journey. And so to me, that's huge, because, I always say, like, in the shelter system, I'm so nervous for these animals because, I feel like they're one mistake away from finding themselves on the euthanasia list. If they show themselves to be dog aggressive, food aggressive, certainly if, someone who's walking by their kennel, if they, attack at the cage or something like that, due to those same feelings that are, emotional, psychological issues that they can get past, if not in that environment. I just worry about that for them being there. And the longer that they're there, the more likelihood they make that one, I hate to say it like this, but that one fatal mistake. And so that's, to me, when you say, oh yeah, we understand they're going to, have these things, and that's okay. That's so much care that's shown just in that statement alone. So, that personal touch that you guys provide for these animals, again, just, fills me up to know that we're sending these dogs to a place that they're going to be in good shape. 100% no kill, high adoption rate in short order. That's everything. And you guys are doing a great job. I keep saying incredible. That word, I feel like I'm overusing it, but that's how you have to describe it. I'm sorry. That's it.
We also have a lot of follow through after the adoption as well. Just so you know, too, we are always here. We're here 7 days a week, and we do give out in the packet that people take home. They take home, our card and our information, and they're told if you're having any problems, behaviorally, medically, whatever, call us. Before it gets out of hand, we'll help you through it. We'll give you advice. We'll talk you through some things, and it's amazing how often people just need to talk to someone. And so we help them out a lot with that. We also can refer them to trainers. We can refer them to vets. We can, do a lot of things to get them through, especially that first 3 weeks, I'd say, are probably the biggest hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
Days, 3 weeks, 3 months. That it takes a dog to settle in.
That's great. That is so great to hear. I love that, even once they leave your facility, you don't, dust your hands and you're done. You guys are, following up. You guys are keeping, that relationship solid. And that is super important to this whole process. Sometimes, it's tricky when you get a new family member in the house and, you have to kind of learn what they're doing. And there's a lot of work involved that sometimes, people, when they see a dog of a certain breed, they're excited, to have it or whatever. But then, there's that work that comes involved, and you guys provide additional resources and support to ensure that the adoption is successful in the long term. And that's such an important part of the whole process.
Okay, well, Deborah and Lindsay, I wanted to ask you a favor here now. And Lindsay, I know that you're in charge of public relations, so obviously you want to get the word out to your community about what's going on. So from here on in, let's have a coordination where every time a Barkhouse dog comes to your facility, let's do a follow-up so we can do a live show about how that dog is doing. Does that sound good?
Yeah, we would love that. That's super fun. Yeah,
okay.
We do try to snap adoption photos too, so that might be something we'll have to ask the adopters, but that's
right
there as well. Yeah.
Right. So we do a follow-up. So in other words, let's put it this way. What we like to do is follow the dog, where the dog came from, follow the dog through to Barkhouse, and then over to the receivers, and then to the forever home, so that we can show a happy tale show about what really happened to them. Because a lot of people ask that, well, whatever happened to that dog? Whatever happened to this one? And, oh, I miss this. So do we have any pictures? And you might exchange pictures back and forth amongst each other, but the public doesn't know about it. And I think the community deserves to know the good efforts that you're doing, that Barkhouse is doing, that everyone is doing to get these dogs into a safe and happy home. So what do we need to do to get people to know about how to get to your website?
Right. So if you just go online and do OregonDogRescue.org, you can see all of our information on there. So it talks about, the history of the rescue, our adoption process, available dogs, ways to donate and help out this organization. So we have a wealth of information on there.
Okay.
We're on Facebook as well, Instagram, so you can follow us and stay current on all of the dogs that are looking for homes.
Okay, so final thoughts. Koko, Deborah,
the word of the
Lindsay.
day. The word of the day I've said is incredible. I've said it enough times.
What I want to say is I think it's amazing that you guys are doing this, and it's actually, you said that it's great to hear what we're doing. Well, I think we feel pretty cool that that you guys are doing what you're doing, and it's good to see what people are doing on your end, because sometimes it is, and sometimes I guess we get this feeling that we're just dealing with these shelters with these terrible people that just don't want to get the dogs out of here, but to see faces and to hear your thoughts and your feelings about this really helps us, and it
yeah,
makes us
how
feel
hard
great.
you guys are working, networking, and
Yeah.
seeking out these new relationships responsibly, because it's so,
Right.
you want to know where these dogs are going.
Yeah.
That makes
Right.
me really happy and
Yeah.
excited to partner with you.
Yep.
And there's many times that we have, well, I shouldn't say many times, there are times when things happen, weather happens, flights are delayed, flights are canceled, and we really appreciate that you understand that and that we don't have control over it, so that we have to make an alternate plan. So we always have plan B in place in case there's these contingencies. So thank you for working with us, and thank you for being part of our team and for letting us be part of your team so that we can have happy solutions. That's my thoughts, and that's my end.
Well, we're
Okay.
excited for this. You can probably hear our lobby is filling
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
We'll let you guys get to your work and get to your, all that. Obviously, great things are happening there. So yeah, that's a great final thought. You guys are starting to get busy. Things are starting to happen. So we know good things are happening for animals right now, right where you're at. So thank you guys for being on the show. Kathy, it was awesome talking with you, and talking with you, Deborah and Lindsay. I can't wait to connect again next time and see what other good things we can all accomplish together.
Okay. Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.